Hope everyone's well today on this Sunday afternoon, and I've got an interesting topic. Well, it's interesting for me anyway. Hopefully you'll find it interesting as well. I'm just really curious as to where people are at, anyone who's watching this, with regard to a transcendent belief system, belief structure. What do you believe in, if anything, that keeps you grounded, that keeps you humble, that keeps you in some way guided and comforted? Do you have a God, a deity, a spiritual belief that helps you to deal with and to cope with what we are all experiencing in this realm, on earth, in this world at the moment? So for me, well, I'll just say from the outset, first of all, that everybody's welcome on this channel. Whether you believe in the Christian God, whether you believe in another type of religious God, whether you're an atheist or an agnostic, whether you have any other type of belief in any other, kind of like spiritual religion, whatever. So I just want to say that, everyone's welcome. It's a conversation. But I'm curious to find out, really, what it is that people believe in that's helped them to navigate the last few years. A lot of people, we call it waking up, woke up in 2020, but there was a lot of people who were already aware of the great evils taking place in this world before then, aware of the control grid that, was becoming ever more entrenched. So it wasn't just 2020. For me, it was around 2016 that I really started to understand why I'd had the feelings that I've had for a long time in my life. Not really feeling like a sense of belonging, not properly coping, feeling that there was a bad energy in the world, observing a lot of obsession with regard to kind of like image and perfection and ideologies, and a lot of bullshit and regurgitation and all this kind of thing. Now, in the last few years, I now really see very clearly why I had those feelings, why I didn't feel that I had that sense of belonging and meaning, and doing these YouTube videos helps me to pursue my own meaning. And so my belief is one, and it is still, I call it like an emergent belief, because there are very, very many different layers of understanding and mystery to the Christian faith, to what's at the core of that faith, and the symbolism and the representation in the Bible. But I think I primarily understand the world through narrative and through stories and through symbolism. So when I read my understanding of the Bible so far, I see how the characters and the stories, how they resonate in my own life, and how I really clearly identify with those stories and the morals behind those stories. And then of course there is the regular reinforcement as well of, well, what is a Christian faith? What are the values behind Christianity? And what do you actually need to sacrifice in your own life and give in order to be able to pursue those values in a way that is aligned with the faith that's outlined, in the Bible. So I hope that makes sense. That's my position, and I will do not my position. It's what I believe in. I will do. I am going to do more videos and create more content around God, faith, the Christian God, faith, what it means to me, why I believe in God. So that will be, that will be coming down the tracks as well. But just back to what I was saying at the start. Are you somebody who didn't have a faith and you found one because of the last few years and the terror of it and the horrors of it? Or maybe are you someone who once believed and no longer do? Do you think that God is real? What is your idea of a higher power? What is your idea of a deity? Of some kind of like cosmic transcendent power that's beyond our understanding? you know, or are you someone who, are you atheist? Do you believe in the theory of evolution and that can primarily explain everything? But my real question is I suppose is how indeed if has your perception not only of human nature and yourself and the other characters around you in the world, but what is your understanding of experience and your perception of experiencing this kind of like this life? How has it changed in the last few years? You know, and what have you found a deeper sense of purpose and meaning, something to believe in that gives you that grounding and that anchor point? And also, I wanted to ask as well, just following on from that, in terms of how you see the world and those who are still, you know, we often say those who are asleep and those who are awake. How's your perception of that changed as well? You know, have you changed? Has your view changed in how do we dismantle this control grid? How can we move? How can we rid ourselves of this tyranny? You know, are we on this side in the alternative scene? Are we as good as we think we are? You know, are we in his possession as much truth as we think that we are, or that many of us think that we are? You know, do we have enough intellectual honesty? For me, I became very disenchanted with the alternative scene pretty early on, really, which is fine. You know, that's just how it's been for me. Primarily because I just perceived it as being a bit too predisposed to groupthink, to be honest with you. And I don't think that's the way forward. You know, too much groupthink and fanaticism and hysteria. Some of the very same things that we witness from, you know, the average Joe who's only been too happy to go along with things because they don't want to question or they don't have the courage to resist whatever. You know, I'm trying to navigate my life and deal with the challenges that life's thrown at me. I'm trying to do it in a more humble way than ever before. I'm not saying I'm succeeding, I'm trying to, and for that's one reason why I really do see the importance of developing my faith, because above all else it humbles you, you know. And I want to be someone I like to be someone who tries to lead and provide leadership and inject ideas into the discourse and the conversation and try to create content that people are going to identify with and that's going to help them. But primarily, I really want to find that humility in my own life, really. And I think humility is at the core of any belief in any higher power, whatever that may be. Because to believe in something greater than yourself, if you really do, and then you match that faith with works, then that in itself is humbling, isn't it? So that's kind of the path that I'm on, as imperfectly as it is taking place. And incidentally, I don't think I've ever done a video about why I called this channel The Imperfect Individual, but I will do. So yeah, basically since 2020, what am I asking you here? I guess I'm asking who, you know, do you believe in God? What type of God do you believe in? If it's none of my business or you don't want to chip in, it's totally fine, because it is a very private thing, really, faith. But if you do want to chip in, add to the conversation, then that'd be great. Leave a comment and let me know. You know, to what other questions, you know, to what extent does God have a place in this world? To what extent has the scientific enlightenment taken over? I mean, I talk about this in my next book about the Enlightenment and how I think the scientific enlightenment has bastardized itself, you know, and is largely lacking in, you know, the concepts that should define science, which is, you know, curiosity, humility, creativity and doubt. You know, doubt underpins science, not certainty, but there's too much certain science out there in very many different ways. So in a manner, we live in a world really in the West now where we don't have God, and we really don't have science either. We don't have proper science. So is it any wonder really that we were lost and confused and cast adrift? You know, so let me know your thoughts on this video. Particularly interested, as I say, in how your perception has changed since 2020, 2021. You know, what do you see differently now than you did then? Are you more optimistic or pessimistic? Are you disenchanted, or are you feeling energized? I don't know. Let me know. So I'll leave that for today. Seems like a good day to do a video about the subject of God on a Sunday. So I'm going to leave it there. Leave a comment, or as I say, if you just want to watch and not leave a comment, that's totally fine as well. And just to repeat, everybody's welcome no matter what you believe in. This is all about just having a conversation, finding out more about each other. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? So have a good rest of the weekend, everybody. And don't forget to subscribe as well. If you watch my videos and you're not subscribed, just if you click the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. I'll speak to you soon. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.